let's start with this. So the general stuff. Added support for cross-platform features between PS4, PS5 with Steam, so crossplay, right? Online matches are now possible across platforms. You can view the rankings, replays, or creations for Combo Maker and digital figure of players on other platforms. That's kind of cool. I do like that they do stuff like the digital figure mode. It's like I know a lot of artists that really appreciate the digital figure mode. Already established. Added an option to turn cross-platform play on or off in the system settings, which is good because having the option is important in case it was kind of trashy. All right, so added a platform icon, added a search/display filter for cross-platform. Just a crossplay shit. Confirmation message will now pop up when selecting tutorial from the main menu. Thank God, I've done this so many times and gotten trapped in like the startup of the arcade of the tutorial. It's such a specific complaint, but I've done that quite a few times. Arcade mode, boss theme, crawl. You know, I've still not listened to this song to this day. Every time it gets brought up, people are like, "You gotta listen to it. It's the best song, dude." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll listen to it after the stream," and I just totally forget. Big time crawl fan listening for the first time. Added a function to report other players. This option can be selected from the player's archive. Thank God, because there was definitely. There's like a variety of problems with with the game, like net playing the game. I think. I mean, I definitely saw some people with some pretty hateful names, but I also saw people that were like actually cheating. So overall, though, this I think it's good, but I don't think it was like a super widespread problem. Honestly, I feel like it's more likely I'm gonna get reported after not playing random people. I like how they say do not overuse or misuse the report function. This has the energy of like a school gym that had to like incorporate like some sort of safety measures. You know what I mean? That's like the same sort of energy I get here. Added a mute function which hides the player name and any text sent by a specific player from your screen. Muting a player will make the following changes to your screen display regarding the muted player. Player name. Muted player will not be shown in the chat bubbles or the chat log. Digital figure and other user created content. You'll be unable to view content from the muted player. Battery plays. You'll be unable to view replays uploaded by the muted player. That's kind of nice. Wait, what? Any muted players will automatically be unmuted after shutting down the game? Why would you do all this if why would you do all this? What's the point? There's no point then. Yeah, it's like I hate you right now, but we'll reassess tomorrow. Okay, I'm not the type of person that like would ever use a mute function in this context. Like it would be like someone is like really fucking annoying. I just like it would be enough for me to block them. But like I have a high tolerance, right? I guess the fact that they added the option is convenient. Like it's not worse to have it, right? It's just weird. Maybe what if someone just like never shuts down their game? They're like, I never blocked you, but I muted you. Blocked players are being blocked even after shutting down the game. So I guess it really is like mute is for if you're playing someone that you want to keep playing, but they're fucking annoying. And blocking is for some toxic losers. Opponents can now be blocked from the results screen after a match by holding the block the opponent button. Oh my God. Oh fuck. That is so funny. That is actually so funny. I'm so confident that like this is gonna get misused so much. Like, sorry, Tommy 420. I'm gonna have to block you. Something bad must have happened in game for you to block the opponent. R code. Reduce loading time for the R code top page by reading the data for each page individually when viewing another player's R code. Conditions for the character shown on the top page. You can now see how many players are in the same room as you during training mode, matchmaking, in a ranked tower or open park. When entering a match, an icon now shows the connection strength with the opponent. Thank God. Very important. What I need to know though is if it like keeps up or if it's just like, oh, when I ready up, it's like it says 22 ms, right? They're on Wi-Fi. I mean, you can get like a ping of like 20 theoretically, right? If it does not update consistently. You get in game and you get smoked, right? I don't know. It depends on how they implemented this. Added the option to skip the rating update sequence. This option can be turned off on or off. Thank God. I think that was also pretty important. Players can now continue to rematch up to 3 matches, even if their assigned floor changes during a set. As before, the players will return to the room if either player selects quit. So that's good. Again, it doesn't interrupt you anymore. You can now select the room you'd like to enter from the floor selection screen. You can select from rooms with other players already in them, or select a new room. So like that was also something that was really annoying. It's like you'd be like, oh, I'm in Celestial. I'm in East Coast Celestial. And then someone is like, I'm in there, but I don't see you. That's like that was so bad when I feel like it was like to avoid people from boosting or something, but I mean, it's not. It definitely has not stopped them. Battle related. Fixed a bug where the processing load would increase when a counter had occurred on high screen resolution settings in the Steam version. I definitely had that before. I definitely had that as well. The battle version has been updated to 2.03 to 2.04. You can check the battle version in Replay Theater, etc. Fixed minor bugs and made battle balance changes. I love how they just put it in there. All right, here we go. And this is the real one you guys wanted, right? Changes to game mechanics. These changes address the issue of the difficulty for the defender to launch a counteroffensive, with the attacker remaining at an advantage for an extended time. Tension gauge. The tension gauge now increases more the higher your character's risk level. This increases the reward for successfully making out of a dangerous situation and going on the offensive. Tension gauge gain rate for the attacker no longer increases when the opponent blocks attacks while the risk level is at max. Previously, the attacker's tension gauge would increase more and more as they continued their block string after the defender reached enough to reach max risk level. This changes intended to alleviate the difficulty switching from defense to offense. So for some characters, that does actually like kill some of their like strats. Not a lot of people still do this anymore, but like for example, the happy chaos like positive loop, like theoretically this, I mean, not even theoretically, this just kills it, right? Things like that are definitely hit. This is like a bigger nerf across the board for some characters, but I think it's ultimately like it probably won't change much. But it's nice, I guess. It's like better for the defender, right? So it's more favorable, and that's what people wanted. Risk level, the rate of risk level depletion over time is now faster. That's a good change. I think a lot of people wanted that. Previously, the defender would be in a dangerous position after initially escaping the opponent's offense, as their risk level would not have decreased much at all. This change aims to alleviate this issue. That's a good change, because I feel like risk level is really the main cause of damage problems. The thing about risk compared to older games is, since it increases so much compared to older Guilty Gears, it means more often than not you have like no scaling on your moves, right? And not only on your moves, it's like you have no scaling, like 2 or 3 hits into a combo. This change I really, really like. Risk level now resets when Psych Burst is activated. Burst is often used to escape dangerous situations. When used at the high risk level, though, the player would still be in a dangerous situation even when successful, and would take major damage from punish when it failed. This helps prevent the use of Psych Burst from becoming overly limited by giving it the role of a clear reset. So why this is so good is, one, this actually encourages so much about defense. The real disadvantage before is like, even if you block a ton, like the risk is not just in the fact that like, you know, you have 100 risk on defense or like 50 risk on defense or whatever. It's like, you can view it from the lens of like, it does not incentivize, blocking does not incentivize good risk reward in the context of Strive. You can block for a long time, but it's not as safe or not as smart to do so. Before, it's like, even if you blocked a lot, it's like if you reset to neutral and then you guess wrong on your next sequence, it's pretty much the same situation, even though it's not exactly, it should not be that way, but it is pretty much, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The fact that they did this and reduced risk level more in general, I think is really good. And the fact they added a burst to it means that if you have burst, it's actually really smart to over-respect for the most part, rather than mash. So, that's a good change. I think it's really smart. And I really like the idea of it. I think I would have not thought of this, but I think it was really good. So changes affecting all characters. As a general rule, these changes improve balance for areas where some characters notably excelled over others. Hurt box of 6 feet. The height of the hurt box as the attack comes out is now the same for all characters. The height of the hurt box was the same for all characters at the lowest point of the attack, but the hurt box height during startup varied between characters. The height of the hurt box was the same for all characters at the lowest point of the attack, but the hurt box height during startup varied between characters. Making the height of the hurt box as the attack comes out the same means that there is less of a difference in what strings each character can deal with. That was a weird sentence. Special moves with retreating movement. These moves now cause the tension balance to deplete and the negative value to increase, similar to backdashes, etc. This change aligns with the overall game direction by adding risk to retreating. This change, I think, is good, but the problem is, like, changes like this are really weird, and the next one, I think, is also in this category, because, like, they don't tell you anything. It's just like, oh, it causes it to go down. But how much does it go down, right? Like, how much does this change is kind of the problem here. It could be, if it's like 10 meter for like doing like, I don't know, like curse or something, or like, you know, clone, then like that's massive, right? But if it's like 1%, that's like, who cares, right? Base damage scaling. Base damage scaling has been added to attacks that did not have it previously, with the exception of certain moves. This addresses the problem of some characters having moves used in similar ways, but with varying reward depending on whether or not the move has base damage scaling. The problem with this is it's the same thing where it's like, we don't know what got scaled. This could be massive. Like, if it's like, if you go down, like I have Happy Chaos as frame data here. You made Happy Chaos as like, I don't know, his like extension normals. Like, you can see it's at 90% proration, so it's 10% scaling. If they made this into like 70% scaling, or like you know, 6K success, whatever, like that would like it would be very massive. But like, it's unrealistic that it'd be in that ballpark, right? I think it's directly a nerf to characters with unscaled moves. So like, for example, characters that fit into this category is basically Baiken. Baiken's one of the, I think, only characters with a lot of 100% scaling moves. So like, she has like a 6K that's 100% scaling. That, I bet that's getting nerfed. Kabari are both, everything relating to Kabari is 100%. Like, I bet that's gonna get nerfed. For special moves, Daro, like that's definitely getting hit. 2 and 4H, I bet that is too. Rekka, I mean, everyone already knows that shit got hit. That's all getting cooked. Nago has a lot of 90% scaling. Like, my current read is what they mean is everything that does not have scaling will have scaling. I think it's more like specific moves that do just like lead to a lot randomly. Like, again, like most people wouldn't associate damage with like, you know, Geos 2 and 4S, but because of the proration, they may hit it anyways. You know what I mean? That's like the problem. We have no clue yet. Where was I? Oh, input timing window is now the same when performed with an attack, with attack buttons pressed simultaneously, and with the Roman cancel button. There's now an input buffer window when performed with the Roman cancel button. That's kind of an interesting change. I don't know if that'll be really useful, but that's an interesting change. Fixed a bug where the tension gauge would not deplete correctly when a Roman cancel. Oh, that's pretty bad. Oh no! That means a lot of the super PRCs are dead, right? I'm pretty sure that's literally what it is, because this is talking about canceling the startup or the invul into it. So luckily I didn't ever use this that much. I actually never learned it. I was like trying, but I was like, I'm too lazy, I'll do it later. So I'm fine with it. I don't even care. Half the time I dropped it, so it'll probably be better for me. Speed, the height of the hurt box as the attack comes out is now the same for all characters. With the exception of certain moves such as close S, added base damage scaling for attacks that did not have it previously. Attack level. Attack level is an indicator for attack strength, with some exceptions. P and K have low attack level, H have high attack levels. Why are they explaining attack levels? This isn't even a change to attack levels. They're literally just teaching you what they are. That is so weird. Proximity requirement for attack to connect. When a proximity requirement is added to an attack, this means it will no longer connect unless with a defined range of the opponent's position. The range of the proximity requirement depends on the attack. So I actually made a video about this in Exert. This is an interesting change, because this is actually like a direct response to, I think it's not new to Guilty Gear, but I think it picked up popularity in the last year of Exert. I made this like in Exert. This is almost like 3 years old now. So like, this change invalidates this, what it comes down to. This honestly was very strong against Ino in Exert, and this was actually like a necessity, because Ino in this game is fucking broken. She is so fucked up. It's insanely strong in Omega Curse. So this invalidates that. So that's actually an interesting change for moves like this. I think it is a good thing for this game. No, there probably is a hitbox, but what happens is, like, if you get hit, it locks your collision box rather than your hurt box. But I mean, it'll probably serve the same function, but I don't know. Again, the problem is it depends on the requirement as well. Tension balance. Tension balance is an internal parameter that affects, oh, I almost said parameter, that affects the amount of tension gauge gained. The amount gained increases when your tension balance is high and decreases when it's low. Tension balance increases when you move forward or an attack connects with the opponent, and decreases when you create distance between yourself and the opponent, such as by backdash. Negative value. So they teach you about negative penalty too. That's funny. Negative value is an internal parameter increased by actions such as backdash or retreating movement. When it passes a set value, you enter the danger state and your attention gauge depletes. If the stage continues, you enter a negative penalty. So the extended range on 5H makes his offense using Faust even more potent. I love the word potent, by the way. I just wanted to tell you real quick. While it's now more challenging for him to get huge rewards from mid-range, the changes to gunplay make him better at poking from mid-range. So 5H, extended hitbox. This is a good change. One thing I experimented a lot with before I swapped to Happy Chaos on his release was 5H round start. It was actually pretty good against Nago until they buffed to Nagoriyuki. I think in general it'll probably be better in neutral, but it depends on how far it goes. Because they decrease the attack level. Why? I don't even get the point of that. No longer launches the opponent ungrounded counter. Why? Why would they do this? That's so weird. I don't know. They really don't want him to be a mid-range character, it feels like. Which is weird, because like they're like, I mean, I don't know. 6S was kind of like, I think the thing that connected him to older versions. I think the more that the game develops, the more they want him to be like they want him to be a pure rushdown character rather than a footsies character. But I don't really know why they do this, because it's not like 6S was like a main problem. Like, I know a lot of people came around to Soul being pretty strong. By the way, do you guys remember when when the patch released and I said Soul was fine? You guys remember that? And everyone was like, no, dude, no way, dude, no way, dude. You know what I mean? Over and over again, no way, dude. 6 months later, Mochi wins a tournament and everyone's like, oh, Soul's kind of good. So Gunflame, decreased attack startup, that's a good change. Decreased active frames, that can be okay. Increased movement speed with projectile. So this makes Oki theoretically worse. It's not like people used Gunflame for Oki in this game anyways. But again, I don't know, it depends on how much attack startup gets changed. And it's also like, I don't know, Gunflame has a really bad hurt box that makes it kind of poor in neutral. Like I used to use Gunflame a lot in neutral, and it's honestly not that great. I don't think they really know what they want to do with Soul. I don't think he's like particular. Like, again, I think he's fine still. Like I don't think this is a problem. His strength is that he's really good at forcing RPS. He can still like insta-gib you off of like 1 or 2 combos. But it's weird they keep hitting his neutral, but then they like give him things that are just like it's almost out of touch with what Soul players do. Like, do you guys remember the last patch? It was literally like they wanted you to do like run up DP in neutral. Do you guys remember that? That was crazy. I bet this is gonna be like the same thing where like Gunflame is probably not that great. I don't know. It's not fun, right? Like no Soul player looks at this and is like, oh shit, time to have fun. You know what I mean? It's just like, why did they do that? The addition of the guard to Sacred Edge. The addition of the addition of the guard crush effect to Sacred Edge during shock state and dragon install allows him to maintain his offense regardless of range. I snorted, fuck. Oh my god. Fujiark now creates less distance with the opponent on grounded hit, making it easier for Kai to continue his offense. What the fuck are they thinking? This is such a stupid change. Why would they do this? Okay, here's the problem with this, all right? I'm gonna blow your guys' brains out right now. If you used Sacred Edge like this, right? This is actually worse than if you just did something else, right? Like, let's say theoretically, if you took the hit from Sacred Edge, would do less damage than if he did Stun Dipper RC. Think about that. In this context, it's not a nerf, but the way that the way Kai players will probably use it will probably be a nerf. Oh shit. Oh shit. Why would they do this? That's so stupid. You get a Bombo from Sacred Edge, but it's a hard link. Oh, then I'll take the hit every day. I'm gonna take the Sacred Edge hit, and then I'm gonna mash DP after. I'm gonna go fucking ham. I'm going to actually be like, you guys remember that annoying character from the anime like 6 years ago with the cola and shit, and she's like mashing on the that's gonna be me. Yeah, it's so weird. And also, I didn't even talk about this, but why do they buff 5H's hitbox? I guess like, depending on how much further it goes, it could be good. But I mean, Kai's want like 6H changes, right? I don't think they want 5H change, really. Where it's like, you know, the way that they would buff 5H is the same sort of problem where it's like, why would you use 5H over 6H usually, right? I don't know. It's I think literally the only reason why I'm finding it so funny is just because it's Kai. Like, I think if it was any other character, I would be like, oh, why do they do that? Stupid. But it's like, there's something about Kai getting like changes like this over and over and over again that is just like, I don't know why people are still playing Kai at this point. Like, all right, May, thanks so much for the reads of the man. Oh my god. That was good. That was so good. Mr. Dolphin Horizontal has less recovery now when it connects with the opponent. This makes the S version less risky and the H version more plus, making both more viable than before. The extra distance for a forward jump also makes your aerial approaches more potent. I love that. The thing about this though is like, here, actually, let's go over it. So forward jump, increased movement distance. I think that's a good change. Like in general, May is supposed to use the air, so I think they should really lean into the fact that like she should use the air. 3K increase active frames, reduce recovery. That's a pretty big change, especially considering they buffed Dolphin. So that's pretty strong. Jump 2H now triggers counter effect. That's fine. I don't think too highly of Jump 2H in this game. I think is more like annoying than actually like a threat in compared to older games. So I don't really care about Jump 2H at all. S Dolphin. S and H Dolphin. Reduced recovery on hit or block. So, I mean, that's a good change overall. I guess it depends on how much they change it, right? I feel like the general patch, I don't know if it like favors her tremendously so far from what we've seen. But I guess like the fact that she got all this when Kai got... I'm gonna turn this shit up. Oh, there's no audio. I can't even turn this shit up. Fuck, I have literally not laughed like that in a long time, which is crazy because I'm looking at Arx's balance patch notes. That is insane. So, beach ball hitbox now remains after the projectile hits the ground. I saw this video earlier. This is a good change, though I don't think it like really fixes a lot of her beach ball problems. Like, I think it's not terrible. I mean, it can be pretty bad. I think the worst part is you can still, like, kill the beach ball, right? I'll just do the easy one. Right? You can still hit it. So in neutral, it's not that great still. Yeah, you can kill the ball. Axel, ability to cancel standing P, crouch P, and other pokes during the recovery on hit or block makes his strength more prominent at his preferred range. Thank God. That is a good fucking change. That... Axel's problem in this game, I talked about this before, and Ryan actually agreed with me, so I feel very validated to repeat that, is I feel like Axel's main problem was just his frame data was so ass. Like, about, like, you don't have a ton of threats about, like, it's so easy to move after his, like, general poke shit, because it's just so disadvantageous. If he does 2H no cancel or like 2P no cancel, then he's pretty minus. And the difference in terms of how minus you are after something like that, for how far you can move, is really, really important. It is extremely important. I can't like over hype how important it is. Rainwater now draws the opponent in, both increasing the reward on hit and making it possible for Axel to maintain his offense on block. The fuck is Rainwater? Oh yeah, okay, I remember. I remember Rainwater now. I hate the name. What is Noon calls them both snail or some shit. I find that funny. Oh, slug. He calls them slug. Yeah, that shit is slug to me. Because like, I don't know, these changes are so good. Like just the general like controlling neutral shit I think is pretty good. Honestly, I think 2P and 5P, 5H as well, the opponent will now be in a crouching state on ground counter hit. Jump D now launches the opponent higher. Is he gonna have jump D loops again? Those are pretty cool. Winter Mantis. So this is command grab. That's the one. I don't know if you guys remember, but I famously deemed this change why would you do this change? It looks like they actually made it kind of useful. Added a tumble effect means he gets a combo. So, okay, no spoilies. Turn that shit up, Arxis. Turn that shit up. Yeah, like, oh shit. That shit does so much damage. I mean, this is 5H counter hit, but like, the fact that he gets all of that, I mean, that's pretty good. A lot of people don't actually know just because it's like, I don't know, a lot of people are new to Strive, or at bare minimum, like late Exer, but Axel used to actually do damage, like way back. So like, it's weird they waited so long to make him do damage again. I think those are both really good changes. It's a bad combo too. Oh yeah, I bet. A Chipp. Balance intentions. I just now realized that they say this before it. Their intentions. I like it. Alpha Blade Horizontal now sends the opponent flying towards Chipp, making it easier to land more hits, really. The reduced startup for Senshu means it can combo from Rook side on crouching hit. So it's probably 1 or 2 frames faster. making it more rewarding depending on the situation. 6H, the opponent will now be in a crouching state on grounded hit. I think that was also in older games as well. I think that's just like it's a weird thing they didn't include. Alpha Blade now launches opponent higher with increased horizontal blowback. Aerial Alpha, same thing. Sentry reduced attack style. So he did get buffed. The thing about it is it depends on how much alpha gets changed. But I mean, the Rokusai one is pretty good because there's some situations where I think people would autopilot it. It also gives you it gives you a knockdown off of crouching hits, which is pretty important for Chipp because one of his weaknesses is that you can RPS with him pretty effectively after Rekka pressure. It's a good change for him. It incentivizes mashing on him with standing buttons though, I think. All right, Potemkin. Balance intention. The additional range for his pokes. RS 5H improve his mid-range game. Hammerfall also allows for more aggressive approaches as the timing Potemkin can withstand attacks is now faster. So his armor is faster. The close range faster startup for FDB makes it harder for the opponent to escape by jumping, meaning his core throw mix-up is more potent. It's so good. RS 5H and frontal hitbox. These are good buttons, I think. So it's sweep, reduced recovery. It could be really big depending on how much they reduced it. If it's like one frame, it probably doesn't matter though. Heat knuckle now draws the opponent in on guard crush. So if you heat knuckle someone, I did see this one. This was like one of their like the only one I think I saw before bed. All right. So yeah, just vacuums in now, which is good. The problem with this though is depending on how you hit heat knuckle, it can be like really plus, right? It can be really plus or not plus at all. Some situations with heat knuckle, even though this looks very scary, the problem with Potemkin still is that this situation can sometimes end up being -1. Yeah, it's +1 to +10. So sometimes this vacuum effect will probably actually lose him game depending on how it works. Because like if you vacuum in Soul and you're only +1, you literally cannot beat him in that interaction. It has the old 2S effect or vacuum. Mega Fist backwards does the negative stuff. Hammerfall sped up the timing when Potemkin can withstand attacks, so his armor is faster. Expanded lower hitbox. So I guess you can't low profile it anymore. In older games, you used to be able to like checkmate him with 2D into DP. He couldn't cancel out of it before the DP would hit. FDB reduced attack startup, probably better for his 6K pressure, and but it depends on how much faster it is. All right, Faust. Balance and tension. The increased knockback on standing H sweep allows Faust to create distance from the opponent, meaning you can use what could this be more? Reduced startup for mix makes it easier to use in combo, while also making it harder for the opponent to interrupt when using in block strength. So air dash, sped up timing of the input buffer window. 2P reduced upper hurt block. Speed increased knockback. 5H increased knockback. Sweep increased knockback. I mean mix faster, which is good. Scarecrow reduced lower hurt box. I can't imagine this doing that much for him though. In fact, this could ruin some of his combos, right? Like I think like if his sweep pushes you back more, he's gonna get worse Oki, right? Theoretically. That's weird. Like I said, again, it depends on how much knockback it is. Most of the other changes are fine. It's like I would be most concerned for sweep. But if Apology Man says it's good, I'd trust his input. Yeah, the Scarecrow thing just means that like you're not gonna get hit by like slide hit and shit. Millia Rage. Balance and tension. The increased attack level of Tandem Top makes it less risky for Millia to use in strings and during neutral. He now has access to powerful mix-ups in more situations, as she can cross up the opponent using Turbo Fall, even in the corner. 6K reduced recovery. 5H now bounces the opponent higher with decreased horizontal blowback. 6H decreased attack startup. Reduced recovery. That's actually a good change, depending on how much. Turbo Fall. Millia can now move to the other side of the opponent even when they are in the corner. Reduced hurt box behind Millia. I don't think that's particularly intimidating. It's more like her mix-up can be better, I guess. But I don't think, like, again, that doesn't really solve her problems to me. You know what I mean? I don't really think, like, we'll have to see. It's something that, like, it depends on the development, right? Ground throw, frame advantage. Oh, that's just stabilizing it. Increase attack level for Tandem Top. Yeah, so I guess it's 5H theoretically, right? I don't know how 6H would change it. Sweep is probably good. I guess the real thing is just like Turbo Fall. But I don't know. It's weird because I guess the idea is that they're going to just like buff her mix up over and over again until I guess like her mix is strong enough to compete with like risk reward stuff. But currently I think like the problem is like the way that she's designed or like encourages her to take risks in a game that doesn't really favor her if she's right. But like I think if her mix up is stronger, overall, I think it's a pretty big deal. But I think overall, like it wouldn't change her. Like it's not like she's gonna like rocket up the tier list. I don't think, unless again they find something like really nasty for her. But I like changes like reduced recovery on things like sweeps, I think, are always really strong. So I don't know. Like, she can just kill you if she's right on offense. But the problem is, like, I think odds are just so against her in the overall, like, she's just bad in like the overall like grand scheme of the game. Like, the game is not designed in a way that favors her in the same way that it favors other characters. I don't think it means that she's like terrible. I don't think she's unplayable. But I don't think changes like this will do much for her design, in my opinion. So I think characters like Millia, old Bridget, Faust to like a degree, like characters like that, like the fact that they work with less damage consistently, I think is something that is really bad in a game like this. And it shows almost a little bit of, I guess, lack of awareness. Not really Ino. Ino's like a weird case. She's a little bit of like the middle ground, I guess. You could think of it as like Zato is like the high damage mix-up character. Ino's like the mid damage one, and Millia's like the low damage one. I don't know. It's weird they make characters like this, or they keep pushing them in this bubble, because I don't think this will change much. Speaking of Zato 1, balance and tension. The ability to move only Zato or only Eddie during Break the Law opens up new possibilities for strings. That's actually a cool change. I like stuff like that. The reduced hurt box on activation of Sun Void makes it more difficult for the opponent to interrupt it when used in block strings. Interesting. 6k, reduced recovery, decreased knockback. They really want you to use this button. Zato players will never use 6k. Just delete it from the game. Actually, don't delete it because it looks cool, but they're not going to use it. Sorry, Chief, they're not going to use it. It's just not useful. They always do this. Every version that they've released Zato in, they do this, right? The only situation where this is probably useful, no, they didn't use it in older games. It was infinitely worse in older games, like even worse than it is in this version, believe it or not. It's not going to change much. Like, it won't do that much for him. Jump D, sped up the timing when Zato pauses before the attack is active. Depending on how this actually could be something bad for him. Because depending on how much he pauses, like, if it's really fast, it'll make fuzzy blocking him better or easier, right? Because one of the weaknesses of fuzzy blocking against Zato currently is that he can fuck up your timing a little bit with jump D or like other like float things, right? When you don't have to consider as slow, or quotations as slow, of a jump D for when you do like a 4-1-4, it's quite strong. I mean, especially in Strive with how fast people fall and there's no real threat from air dash mates, I think it's a pretty it could mean a lot. But again, like, the problem is it could be nothing too. Like, it could not even change anything. Break the Law, only Eddie will move when 1 or 3 is input. Eddie will no longer move when 7 or 9 is input. Increased forward movement speed, tension balance now decreases, and negative value increases only when moving away from the opponent. I think that's a cool change, though. That sounds fun. It'll be fun, I think, playing against stuff like this. Sun Void, reduced frontal hurt box. They really want you to use it in block strings, which is cool. I don't mind it. I'm not a Zato hater. I think he's fun to play against a lot. Yeah, this shit. So if he gets, this is, I guess, just like a knockdown, really. But I don't know. It doesn't really fix much. Ramlethal, balance and tension. The additional range for 2H makes it easier to go into highly damaging combos, making her more threatening at close range. Interesting. Jump D now works as a better jump into the... Wait, what? What is going on? Jump D now works as a jump in due to the addition of a hitbox behind Ramlethal. What is... Oh, this is her Rekka, right? It was a potent offensive... So fuck, they love saying potent. The damage and situation on hit have been reworked. 2H, they buffed hitbox, frontal hitbox. Jump D expanded hitbox and hurtbox behind Ramlethal. Rekka, they included decreased damage, and I assume they also hit the proration, right? Because they don't specify any other move losing damage, right? So I guess they've hit them from both sides. And last Rekka, the opponent can now recover after landing. I'm not really afraid. I think the changes are fine. Rekka honestly was my most annoying thing, so I'm happy about it. I don't really care about much else. Yeah, hit potently from both sides. So true. Leo Whitefang. The adjustments to knockback and blowback for 6k in the increased range for, I'm not pronouncing that, make them more viable in combos and forming strong block strength. Sweep launching the opponent higher on hit gives Leo more of an advantage. Wait, didn't they just fix this last patch? Did they revert this? Making it easier for him to go into Oki. I'm pretty sure they nerfed this last patch, right? They basically reverted. Yeah, that's so weird. Well, I guess like it's not as it's still punishable. It's still punishable. But they give him shit again. Certain hitboxes. See, this is why I bitch so much about Arxis. This is one of the most useless notes I've ever seen. Certain hurt boxes. I ate certain food yesterday. Just tell us. Why the secrecy? 6k. Decreased knockback. Isn't this a nerf? You don't want people super close to you after 6k. They'll just throw you, right? I guess like for some combos it's probably better. Maybe it's only on hit. Decreased horizontal knockback distance. I feel like that's true. Yeah, it could combo into... Oh my god. I don't know. It depends, right? Because it could be that oh my god, Leo's patch notes are ass. Why would you ever make this? They should have just not included Leo. They should have just like wrote like here, you guys want to I'm gonna do the Leo patch notes for you. You guys ready? This is the patch notes, basically. This is the equivalent of what they just gave me. I feel like they gotta be putting this shit in just to fuck with me at this point. So Leo got changed. Winky face. XD. You gotta guess. How? Nago. Balance and tension. Nago's defense now varies with the current amount of blood gauge. The damage and attack properties of his normal moves still increase the higher his blood gauge, but he now also takes heavier damage from the opponent, meaning he needs to consider any risk he takes on neutral. That's such a good change, but it depends on how much they increase his health. If it nerfs him only to like 1.0, that's not gonna do much to him. But if it goes to like 1.09, that'll fucking kill him. Like, it depends on how drastic it is. I know it's the same thing where we don't know. But I think the change is good. Like, I think it's interesting. You know what I mean? I think it's like it's an interesting way to answer that problem where he has so much fucking health. 2S got nerfed as an exceptionally powerful poke. I've never seen them admit something like this before. So that's how you know they fucked up. Blood gauge. Naga's defense now varies the amount of blood gauge. Crouching S. Increased recovery. Far S. Reduced recovery on the last hit. 5H. Reduced lower hitbox. I like that change because now 5H will not hit you low profiling shit anymore. I'm assuming that's what this means. Fukio now reduces tension balance, increases negative value. It also depends on, same thing, again, depends on how much it reduces, but I think these changes are good for him, because assuming they're drastic enough, it'll basically kill his ability to force RPS, which I think like they didn't really want for him anyways. Like, I think the way that they change him and they've also like made his kit feels like they really expected it to be like you play him like Johnny almost, like really old Johnny. Right, Geo, balance intentions. I'm not saying that anymore. I'm tired. 2H now draws the opponent in, creating major changes in her combos. I don't even know what this move is. I still don't even know. Is this her? Oh, it's the flip. Yeah, it's the flip kick. That's the one. I call it the flip kick. Can lead to higher reward than before. Very cool. She has access to more powerful combos in the corner due to the new wall bounce effect from 5H. Wow. 5H now bounces the opponent higher with the decreased horizontal blowback wall bounce effect. That's quite good. Her 5H in general is really strong. Like, even for like doing like space pressure, if you are a Giovanna player who plays who runs offense like at a spacing, I forgot the term I used for it, but like if you play it like a character length distance and let them whiff punish it, 5H I bet is omega good now. I guess like more footsies based offense. Yeah, you're looking to make someone whiff on offense, I guess, on their defense. I think with Geo. 2H now draws the opponent on hit on a block. That's pretty good. So flip kick, reduced low hurt box, so I guess you can't hit her on the ground on startup. Maybe, I don't know. It depends on when this changes. The first hit now launches the opponent less than before. Now less likely to end up behind the opponent when the first hit hits an opponent near the corner. And this is just the ground version. The first hit now launches the opponent higher with the increased horizontal blowback. The first hit now launches the opponent less than before when used multiple times. So that's because she has those loops, right? They used to do them a lot in the first version, where like you could just keep looping this over and over. It's clear they do not want you to do that. Anji now launches the opponent on grounded hit, making it possible to confirm combo Fujin into Rin and then go into Okizami off of assume that's Butterfly. He not only has access to more combo route, they also have better situations for him. Nagia gives Anji more of an advantage now during doing the blowback adjustment, making it easier for him to maintain his offense. 6P. This is like, I think, like standardization buff all around. His 6 feet kind of sucked, so it's good that he got that. 5H now launches the opponent on grounded hit, decreases horizontal blowback. I actually love this change. So they changed hurt boxes, but Anji's 6P is not even remotely close to any other 6P in terms of like hitbox. It's like diagonally. I think the goal with this was to standardize like 6Ps in front of them, rather than at an angle. Even though this is a unique change, it's probably just to make it more in line with other 6Ps. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but I played a little Anji. I literally played Anji for 3 days and played him in a bracket last year. That was fun. But I think the 5H change is great. It's super... I think 5H is like one of his better buttons. It's just because the range is a little whack, and I think if they made it better at jailing jump outs, I think 5H would be incredible. I feel like that's something that would be really, really good for him. But it's clear they want him to run offense with Fujin more often than not. So the fact that they even gave him a combo off this is pretty cool. So Fujin, decreased blowback distance, so what they talked about up here. Well, they talked about Nagi. Nagi pretty much the same things. I mean, this doesn't really change much about him, I guess. It's just like stability things. But I feel like it's like the same thing with Millia, where they're not really fixing his core problem. They just kind of like ignore it, and they're just like, we'll fix it another way. And it's clear that they're very afraid of over buffing him. I mean, look at these fucking changes here. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. I feel like, honestly, they should just rework a lot of Anji's kit, because it's clearly they made a character and they're like, we need to keep him shit. I think he's still better than a lot of the weaker characters, but I think his mechanic is still too unstable. Balance intentions. She can now jump cancel the beginning of her hover dash. This allows her to move a greater distance forward. Combined with the reduction of Sultry's performance landing recovery, she now has a greater arsenal of approach options for mid-air. So, dash. Startup could now be jump canceled. Then wait, no, they didn't. What was the change last patch that was a bug? It's what? She can block after dashing or something? Was that it? And they're like, oh, it's a bug. Did they just they just reverted this, right? I'm pretty sure that they added this last patch and then they removed it and they were like, no, it was a mistake. I see. So it's like a middle ground. I see. That is an interesting comparison to make. Fixed a bug where it was possible to burst after a dash cancel. The motion will now be interrupted if a backwards direction has been. That is much, much better. I mean, even like startup can now be jump canceled is probably better for her offense. Like she can probably do better like offensive things with a lot of these changes, or like with the startup can now be jump cancel change alone, to be honest with you. Air dash, the motion will now be interrupted to the back dash direction. Note, added proximity requirement, so we talked about that earlier. Stroke the big tree, reduced hurt box before movement begins, so this is probably low profile before she even moves. The upper hurt box of this attack steadily decreases as the move comes. Oh yeah, so I see. So it is just a mini. It does do it before she even moves, which is interesting. That does, I guess, fix some people's complaints. Sultry performance, so dive, reduced landing recovery. That's a good change. Also for dive, I think. Goldlewis Dickinson. This is everyone was cheering about this one. This was like there was like a Coliseum cheering on Twitter when I woke up. Expanding the hitbox of jump H behind Goldlewis makes it easier to connect after jumping over the opponent. This makes his pressure from close range even more potent. Thunderbird now disappears when Goldlewis takes damage, making it more challenging to launch an aggressive approach. So 5k added a stagger effect. That's cool. I like his 5k is cool. The little knee slap. Jump H and a hitbox and hitbox behind Goldlewis. Pretty much like, I mean, I guess it's just better overall. Though the fact they expanded his hitbox means he may get 6p from the other side pretty easily. It depends on what they mean by behind Goldlewis. All right, Thunderbird. The attack hitbox now disappears when Goldlewis takes damage. The hit effect of the final hit now varies depending on the security level. So this means that if you played Goldlewis, or like here's the Goldlewis flow chart, right? This is like every Goldlewis player fell into this category for a while. They get absolutely curb stomped. Then they die, they lose half their health. They burst, they throw Thunderbird, and they fuck you up immediately after. The thing about this change is that it does not fix that problem. What this means is that probably every interaction with Goldlewis after that same situation is just going to be RPS. And it's still going to be RPS in his favor, because if you block it, he's going to run his offense on you. So I'm kind of shocked that so many people were cheering for it. But I feel like the thing that people are essentially excited for is that it makes a lot of Goldlewis players who weren't as good at neutral, they're pretty much going to struggle a little more. So if you throw drone, you know how before they would do, like, let's say they would just do jump S, because like, I mean, if you're on the ground, you're going to be blocking drone. So if you jumped, then you just get jailed into it. And if you were on the ground, you block drone anyways. Now, probably what's going to happen is he either decides, am I going to RPS on the ground or in the air? And that's pretty much what I expected. So it's nice that there are interactions around it like that, without invalidating like Goldlewis. Because I mean, if they just obliterated Thunderbird, that would be too much for him. You know what I mean? I think like if like for most Goldlewis players, like this will probably just be fine. Like, I mean, Darkrai is probably still gonna, like, this probably will never not affect them even slightly. It's like one of those things. In fact, this is like one of the things where sometimes it's actually like for some players, it can be considered a buff because a lot of people don't know how to RPS, period. So they may just like flail into Thunderbird rather than just blocking like they did before. But in general, the fact that you can hit him for it is quite good. The hit effect of the final hit now varies depending on the security level. So I guess it's depending on like if it's hard knockdown or not. Right? I'm assuming that's what this means. Burn it down, decrease number of hits. That shit is not getting used. I'm sorry, Chief. I'm sorry, Chief. That shit is not getting used. Jacko. Servants now fly higher and farther when hit with crouching S. This makes it viable not only as a starting point for her offense, but also in powerful strings, making use of the time difference before the attack hits. The time difference. I like that. Changes to countdowns launch on hit makes it easier for her to go no combo after blocking the explosion. 2S. Change the servant's trajectory when hitting them with its attack. They'll move higher and farther. Dust attack. Reduce frontal hurt box up to the active frame's end. That's actually a nice change, I think, for her. Servants fix the bug causing unintended servant behavior when a servant's hitbox touches another servant under certain conditions. That's like, I don't know. That's definitely not a bug I've seen. Throw servant now added a wall bounce effect. This is when you're holding the servant. So they probably just gave her some better combos. Lace servant, D-well holding servant. This is like go, right? Wait, I'm pretty sure like this doesn't mean that the servant bounces. It means that I think you bounce. I don't think that was a thing in older versions. You may be thinking of a soccer kick. Though it would be funny if this patch note was literally that they threw the servant at the wall and they just like ricochet to the other side of the screen. Countdown. So there's the explosion, adjusted launch, increasing time when follow-up attacks are possible. So probably better combo tools. In general, like it doesn't look like she really got nerfed. I know a lot of people hated her, but I guess actually, well, her changes are good, but the system probably does hit her. I should clarify. Right, Happy Chaos. Jump D. Now draws the opponent in, making it easier to lead into an advantageous situation for Chaos at close range. 6K could easily be included in combos from any situation. It was extremely powerful in maintaining offense on block, so the startup has been increased. No longer hits consecutively from 2K, meaning different moves will be needed. So that's actually quite strong. Increased attack start now launches the opponent higher. This kills some of his combo routes. It also kills some of his offensive ones. But I think it depends on how much 6K gets hit, because if it's a lot, like if it's much more, then you may be able to like always mash on him off of like 2K or some shit without him using bullet, which I think is a lot smarter personally. I also think that nerfing moves like this for him is better because he uses risk very well, of course. Like the risk change probably affects him the most. He's one of the better characters at holding risk. Means that it incentivizes him to go for more throws over longer periods of offense. 6S now launch the opponent higher. I'm pretty sure they just reverted a last patch change too. They did this last version, did they not? No, I think they did do that. It may not wall stick anymore. That's a good point. It probably does, because if it launches the opponent, the thing about how wall sticks work, that's actually, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I completely would have missed that. Any move that technically launches like very fast is impossible to wall stick from. Like that's why a lot of 2Ds don't work with it, because they trip you frame one, right? So it's like if that is the case, it may be that just can't do it. So you can't loop offense as much. It depends on how fast it is. Jump D draws the opponent in on hit or block. At the ready, reduce recovery when activated known concentration. Cancel Leaf can be activated 1 or 3. That was something that killed me for the first version. And then I got used to it, and then they just added it anyway. Scapegoat and Curse, tension balance, and negative value changes. Not that honestly, he may have been the one that got nerfed the most if this does ruin his wall slump stuff, because that kills almost every effective way of playing him so far. Unisho found like the offense loop thinking, the zoning stuff has kind of gone, and then the guard crush shit is gone too because the system changes. So that's pretty interesting. I don't think he'll be weak, but it's interesting that they've done that. So they've kind of like, they really stomped him out. At least like they're trying to. But like it depends. The thing I hate about going through Arcs' patch notes is like it's so subjective depending on what this means, and it's so stupid. I can't even like give you like a good assessment without even being like, without really assuming at this point. What system change affects his guard crush? So the thing about his guard crush offense that was so strong is you can loop it infinitely with if you do concentration, if you focus before you run offense, you can go 0 to 100, 0 meter to positive bonus, and looping it all over again with how like the last changes were. Because of the risk change, you can't do that anymore. So I mean, technically you can still run gunshot offense, but it's not as effective. And it's probably, well, it is probably weaker in general because they nerfed his general offense, right? Like with 5k and stuff, or it's 5k 2k. All right, but let's move on though. All right, Baiken is more of a threat at close range now, as she can more easily follow up a cross-up Yozansen mix by expanding hitbox explosion part of Kenju. It now functions better as a poke and in combo. Tatami removed usage restriction. That's pretty good, right? I know a lot of people wanted this in the air. Yozansen decreased horizontal blowback distance on the later half of the active frame. So this is the cross-up mix that they're talking about. It's not that... I honestly don't think it's that great. It's like okay, but it's cool that they buffed it. I tend to think of this mix more as like an annoyance. Gun, expanded hitbox, the explosion. It was already quite a lot, so I find that funny. All right, here's the real one though. Testament. Grave Reaper can now be used back to back, greatly improving Testament's control over neutral. So a lot of people don't understand what this is. That's actually why I have this up already. When you have a fireball out, you can see I'm doing 2d6s, right? You can see I cannot throw this until it's gone. I'm inputting it over and over again, but it's not coming out, right? Until the skull disappears, you cannot do this again. But now you will just make it disappear. The problem with this change and why it's extremely strong, I'm going to assume even if this does not work the same way, they may make a balance change to it, like a specific, like a quiet change. But one thing that is very, very good about this is I've talked a little bit, I've shown this combo before, where so when you use something that uses the skull, it detonates. So what happens is when you use something that uses the skull, it detonates it, right? You can kind of see when it was a teleport. That's what it was. I'm stupid. So you can see when you do this, it detonates as it gets used, right? So this actually gives you combos, which means that if it, like, I think a lot of people think that there's going to be like 10 skulls on screen, which I don't think was the case. But what it means is that Testament can essentially just make like projectiles explode whenever they want, and it's quite strong. And in general, the quality of life changes from this are so massive because like using up Grave Reaper, it was not as strong because if it whiffs, can't use it again until it's gone, right? But now you can just use it fucking mindlessly. So this is definitely going to be the patch of 236H. And then just to like emphasize, if they do make it so you can have like H skulls and S skulls on the screen at the same time, this character is going to be fucked up. And I would be shocked if that's the case if they don't end up as like a top 2 character. Like that is an extreme change. 2H draws the opponent in on hit or blocks and reduce the launch. So now it's probably easier to get crow combos, which is quite good. Damn, they gave me Morrigan zoning. That change I think is better because it just makes combos more stable, which is I think really one of the weaknesses of 2H. So that also fixes my other problem with them. Strovia, increase active frames on the first and second hit. So this is just a fix, I think. Like some characters drop out of moves. Zato, I actually have a great example of it right here. So for some reason, some characters just like their moves aren't active enough, so it just whiffs, right? So this change fixes that. I don't know why. Zato got no leg. So that fixes that. Bridget. Bridget has more opportunities to launch her offense from neutral due to the increased projectile speed and reduced recovery for stop and dash. She has more potent options available after rolling movement. As the changes to the knockback and trajectory create less distance with the opponent and leave Bridget as more of an advantage. Honestly, I feel like the knockback stuff that they've included in a lot of this patch is probably bigger than I've thought or I've established. But again, it's another one of those things where we don't know because it's kind of vague. But I think like obviously like saying like knockback changes is harder to emphasize or detail than like, you know, increased hurt box on 6k. 2p expanded lower hitbox on hurt box. I don't really like this change. I feel like her frame data needs to be changed, which seems they're not doing. 6p now causes blowback on hit when the opponent is standing. The blowback is the same as in hitting a crouching opponent. Man, normal 4s. I love that they just give them like it's literally what the move is. It doesn't even have a name. Expanded lower hitbox and hurt box on command normal 4 and 5. I love command normal 5. That's so cool, dude. Stop and dash. Increase damage, stop and dash, reduce recovery, rolling movement, increase knockback, increase descent speed on hit or block. That's actually, I think, mostly good. Sometimes it's very easy to OS against her, but It could theoretically be harder to block against her, but also could be easier depending on what this means. When activated as the yo-yo returns to Bridget, she now moves where the yo-yo is placed. So that's like so that's good. I didn't even, oh yeah, because she ended early, right? That's also new to this game, which not great. So this is a good change. Though again, I'm still going to rag on them because it feels like they did not really fix their problems. Fix the bug where double jump, air dash back cannot be used under certain circumstances. That would be that's such a bad bug. Like that's like the worst bug you would want with this move, but at least they fixed it. Counter hit state now ends at the same time as the active frames. Interesting. Fix the bug where the opponent would sometimes enter a blocking pose after the active frames end. Expanded proximity requirement for the attack to connect. So like same thing that we saw earlier with note. Break during Kickstart My Heart. Yeah, it was literally here and I was just not looking at the screen. Expanded upper hitbox, reduced launch with decreased horizontal blowback. The tumble effect. That seems pretty good. Tumble effect is quite good for it, I think. Again, it depends on how long the tumble is though, which is a problem. Turn the killing machine, increase number of hits. Again, I don't think that really solves anything. And Sin is the same shit except for... Oh, I saw people were pissed about this. JP Twitter was so angry about this. It was so funny. What was it? They advertised like changes for everyone, but Sin got none, right? So they're like, Arxis, you fucking lied, dude. Arxis, you're a fucking liar, bro. My take on Bridget is, I would say she's definitely better, but I think she still has the same problems. It's not really like she's going to be better against 6Ps probably and have better risk reward, but she still has the same flaws as before. It's just like they kind of made her mix a little better and made her neutral a little better. I don't know. I think it's just like, it's so weird how they do this. And I actually had a little bit of, of an epiphany reading these patch notes. I've realized over like the past year or so, I've thought they've released characters like Testament and Bridget because they wanted to like make the game more varied. But I feel like almost reading through these patch notes, they really just double down on almost everything they've been doing. Like they don't really give characters like Bridget or like Millia like much. You know what I mean? It's more like they're just like, maybe this will help you a little bit, but you gotta stay on that leash. You know what I mean? That's pretty much how they put it. So Testament is definitely a huge winner. Baiken I assume is like good changes, right, for what she wants to do. Happy Chaos, like the nerfs. Jacko, I mean, probably good for her, right? Interesting, but same sort of thing. Goldlewis, same sort of thing. He's still doing the same thing, right? Ino got buffs to do her thing better. Anji gets no changes to his thing. Gio does her thing better. Nago doesn't do his thing good. Leo, to be determined, but they like Leo, so who knows. Ram, I don't even know. Like, I can't even break it down because it's like I don't even know how much they've changed. Maybe nerf. Same thing with Zato. They just made this thing better. It's like they don't really branch out from what they've already established. So it's like if you're not having fun with Bridget now, I couldn't imagine you can have fun with them in the future. Like that's the kind of area I think I'm starting to get to where they have a path and they're ready to stick with it. I feel like the soul changes gave me the biggest epiphany on that. I mean, like I already knew, of course. I mean, Arxis, it's not like Arxis, it's new for them, but I'd say like the patch is good, but it doesn't really change much. Like it's gonna be the same characters doing the same thing. So I don't know. I mean, I like Sin because he is different, but yeah, it's weird. I feel like it's another status quo kind of thing. Because like even though everyone kind of got nerfs and buffs, I can imagine that there's gonna be very many characters who move. Yeah, I was expecting a big little shakeup too. I mean, I wasn't expecting good balance from it, but I thought like just because it's been so long, but people actually quit Exerd for this same reason. Rev 1 was too similar to Rev 2 and people were super tired of it and they quit because they wanted a Rev 3 and they just did not give you a Rev 3. They're like a little too concerned, I guess, about like the stability of the game or keeping it. I mean, it's weird, to say the least. I think like the contents of the patch is good. Like I think the way that they've buffed and nerfed characters, I think is good and creative, but it's just not going to be that different. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like a whole new game. Well, like some changes are bad, right? Like I think the Kai changes are just objectively bad. Like I can't really see much of a use for Sacred Edge like that. Like Axel, fantastic changes. I think that make ton of sense, really smart. I think like the Nago changes are creative. I like what they've done to Geo, right? Ino as well. Overall, I'll say patch looks promising. I'm interested. We'll play a lot tomorrow. It was funny. It was super funny.